So expectations live entirely in our heads. When we inhabit the world of expectations, we assume that others will live up to our imaginary standards without their consent. It's all in our mind. It's expectations that we put upon other people or on ourselves. And essentially, expectations are like time bombs, mini time bombs of disappointment, just waiting to go off, right? When we have expectations, what we really do is we deflect responsibility and blame away from ourselves and we put it onto others. So I want you to just imagine some of the expectations we might have. For example, I expect my spouse to make me happy, or I expect my children to obey me, to do what I say, not what I do, right? We can have all the expectations in the world. They're not always connected to reality, and they're certainly not connected to what other people think, And when we deflect our happiness and our well-being onto other people, we have no control of other people. We only have control over one person in the room, one person in our life, and that's ourself. So because expectations live in our head, they're our problem, but they're also our opportunity. Because they live in our head, it's within our space. We can do something about it. So today I want to help you do something about it, to move from that frustration of expectation and those time bombs of disappointment waiting to go off to time bombs of happiness and performance and well-being that we achieve through agreements. So I want to make this as visceral as possible, rather than it being purely academic. I want you to imagine, I want you to remember or think about expectations that other people have on you. So call maybe to mind the expectations that your parents have of you or your boss has of you, something that feels, like it's a stretch, high expectations. And shut your eyes if you like. Just feel within your body what having those expectations on you feels like. Notice what happens to your posture, to your physiology. Notice how your body feels. How do you feel? Anxious? Bit anxious? Bit stressed? Notice, sometimes, and I can't see you because your cameras are off, but generally your shoulders go forward, your jaws clench, you feel stressed, right? And your mind and body are completely connected. So you're defensive. When people have expectations of you, you're defensive. And often there's the urge to rebel. Ask any teenager. So expectations don't actually work. They create pressure and resentment and fallout. Agreements, on the other hand, are co-authored by both parties. People tend to give their word and they keep it. Even criminals give their word and keep it. If you think of the Godfather movies, right? They've got the honor among thieves, their criminal code. People don't like breaking their word. So let me give you an example. There's a foreman of a factory. He's got to deliver, 10,000 widgets a day. And that's what he's been given as his OKRs from senior leadership. So that's gone out. Everybody knows what's expected of them, 10,000 widgets a day. Now, that's in his head. It's come from downwards, 10,000 widgets. On the other hand, if he was to go to the person who was running the operations and say, I want 10,000 widgets a day, that person might turn around and say, I can't do 10,000 widgets a day with my current head count. I can give you 8,000. But if you allow me to hire one other person, I can give you 12. Okay, now we're moving to the space of agreement because you're aware of the reality and you can mitigate around it. You can have all the expectations you like from top down. And even though it's disseminated throughout the organization and everybody knows about it, doesn't mean they agree with it. It doesn't mean that they've opted in and that they want to meet it. So when you actually move to a space of agreement where people are trying to honor their word, they say, right, I will deliver those 10,000 words, widgets. You give me the means and we'll do it. You're more likely to see those results, 10,000 widgets or more. You know, you could think of like 100 different other examples. I expect my team to always be on time. I expect my team to always be on time for meetings. And I expect them to be productive, working 12 hours a day and always to be on time, right? So something might have to give. But when you start talking to people, you're late, you know, what happened? Well, I'm sorry, the MRT broke down, or I was currently working with this team here. I can't manage both. Then you're actually in the space of, okay, how can we make it work? You're moving from expectations to transparency and visibility. And then together you're working out what can we actually do to make this agreement. And then both sides are more likely to come to the party. Your team's more likely to turn up on time. And if they're not, you can say, okay, I see you're not meeting the agreement. What's happening? Make a new agreement if possible, or at least you've got something that you've both agreed on that you're both accountable to. So the benefits of the agreements are people honor their words. They're more motivated. There's less anxiety in them, but also in you. And you're working with reality. You're not working against it, right? So you have a chance to preempt all the pitfalls and all the disappointments and work around it. And the results, of course, when you combine all of those together, a happier workforce, more productivity, people pulling together, energy is being harnessed towards one direction rather than being fragmented through resentment or fallout or, you know, people holding back. So often the highest expectations come from ourselves. And we're going to be doing an exercise today to really just shine a light on that. Because when we have these huge expectations of ourselves, we're not even aware of it half the time. It just lives in our subconscious, but it dictates our actions and mindsets and the pressure that we've got, the constant undue pressure that we put upon ourselves, which pull us away from being in flow and towards working with a single-minded focus. Yeah. Wow. I mean, if I put that in relief with maybe my expectations to my kids, right, teenagers, I expect them to listen when I talk. Yeah. I expect them to keep their rooms tidy. I expect them to make healthy choices. Yeah. Do they? No. They expect me to give them the space to, you know, psychically be aware of just when they need space and to back off. And not to nag them when they leave their stuff all over the hallway. They expect all these different things. They expect, you know, to be teenagers and to take risks, not to make healthy choices. Complete disconnect. Yeah. And that could be an agreement with yourself. If you have very high expectations of yourself in all of these various roles, do you actually agree to them? That you have to be the best mother, the best leader, the best friend, the best child. You see all your energy everywhere. What of these do you actually agree to? What do I choose to let go of? All this undue pressure and friction. And in your own mind, just say, I release the expectation that, you know, throw it in the bin.